So in this video, I'm going to try and explain the basic concept of backlinks and how backlinks are used to rank websites. I'm just trying to put, so if you know this stuff, then you can skip right ahead to the next video. But if you're new to this and you want to understand exactly how backlinks, what they are and how they work and why they're used to, rank websites. So let's look at a real world example. So, let's get. I'm going to try and make an analogy with the digital medium and the real world, and that's the beauty of the whole initial PageRank algorithm that Sergey Brin and Larry Page wrote when Google was launched back then. Of course, just a small trivia, it was called Backrub at that point of time, the search engine. It wasn't called Google. The name Google was given to it much later. Um, anyway, getting back to our example, so let's basically split the screen into, we're going to represent the real world here. So in real life, RL, okay, and this side is the virtual world, which is a digital medium, basically the web. Uh, this would be the World Wide Web right here. So in real life, if someone sets up a restaurant, it's they're just he's going to be talking to a few people around the area, his friends and things like that, and they're going to, and then he's going to get a little bit of visitors and some people coming in for food and things like that. However, if he invites someone from a top newspaper in the city or a tabloid or a magazine, and they visit the restaurant, and then they write an article, they really like it, and then they write this article about the restaurant, and when they write the article, they mention the restaurant right there in the article, right? So they talk about the restaurant and then they mention it, and exactly like uh, uh, that's like getting a backlink. So I'm going to just bear with me for a second. So he writes about the restaurant. He writes about the restaurant, and then a lot of people who are reading the newspaper, people who sort of subscribe to the newspaper or who pick it up from the newsstand. That's the traffic right there, right? The eyeballs coming to the newspaper. All these eyeballs read this, and then in real life, they start visiting the restaurant, right? So what's basically happened is that this newspaper has written about the restaurant. So that's how the restaurant becomes popular. Now, if this newspaper happened to be a very small unknown newspaper with hardly any readership, and just a few people were reading it. And even though they wrote about this restaurant, they wouldn't get that much traffic to it. The the the, the news wouldn't spread fast enough for this restaurant. In this case, because this newspaper was really popular and it got a lot of people reading it, and it has lots of traffic and things like that, because this newspaper mentioned this restaurant, then the trust and the exposure of this particular newspaper, sorry, would be much higher than this one. So it would be passing down a lot more value to in terms of this site getting traffic, real footfalls of people coming to the restaurant. So we have so the key takeaway from this is that the larger the source, the more popular it is, which basically boils down to eyeballs, the more trust it's passing down to that restaurant, and the more popularity, so then everybody in town gets to know about that restaurant. If the biggest newspaper in town writes about it, and then so that the restaurant becomes popular really fast because it has been written to about by a well-established newspaper. It could be a local newspaper, and maybe it's a national newspaper. So then, like all over, maybe like CNN does. It could be a global newspaper also. So then, there's these big conglomerates. They write about the restaurant or whatever business it is. In this case, I've taken a restaurant. Then obviously that's going to increase the popularity of that restaurant, right? And and more smaller newspapers could also write about it, and maybe some other bigger ones, some more international ones. So as the word spreads around and people start writing about it, it's going to start gaining trust and more traffic, and it's going to build its brand, and then people are going to be just coming into the restaurant to eat it. The business is going to be really good, and it's going to become a very popular restaurant in the mindsets of people, and that's exactly what Google wants to do in the digital medium when with their search engines. So when you build up a website now, you have a website, you don't have anyone coming to it, right? Because nobody knows about you. So then what you do is you go to other sites, or you contact webmasters of other sites, or you go do some press release, or you do some outreach where you reach out to other bloggers and you tell them about your website, your great product, and I've got this really good product, and I'm launching, and hey, I find that you sort of write about similar products. So will you care to do a review for me? Or can I come to your site and do a guest blog? Can I write about my restaurant as a visitor? Which is exactly what's going on in the real world, right? So this restaurant writes about, so sorry, this newspaper or this source, let's say it's a blog, and this is your site, right? This is your site. So this blog um, writes about, says, okay, I'm going to, I like the stuff you're doing. I'm going to write your post. So he writes about it, and within the content, he gives you a backlink. Now, a backlink is nothing but, um, those things you click on. They connect pages, basically. They allow you to hop from site to site. So he gives a backlink. So he inserts some text, and then he says, uh, Joe's Joe's Pizza, and he links with that anchor, that keyword to your site. That's the backlink now. So when people read or visit this blog, when his community comes, or people come from the search engine because he's ranking for XYZ keywords, and or he's doing some paid traffic, or it's a community, it could be a forum. So all the visitors that coming to this site, they read this post, they see this backlink, and they click on it to go to his site. Now they may or may not click. That's irrelevant. Traffic from backlinks is a part of the algorithm, but that's a little more advanced topic. I'll get to that in a minute. But understand over here, what's happening is that the more popular this blog is, and the more eyeballs it attracts and things like that, Google knows how popular each blog is, right? So when you get a backlink from a popular blog, it's going to pass down a lot more link juice to your site. It's going to pass down a lot more ranking ability, as opposed to if you got a backlink from a smaller blog. So if this was a small blog and they wrote about you, or if this was a forum and they wrote about you, then the ability to pass down ranking power decreases. Why? Because these are not popular blogs as compared to this one. This one is popular, right? It has a lot of visitors and things like that. So this blog has authority, and what it does is it just passes down the authority, of course, without losing any authority itself. So that's an important concept. This was the original PageRank concept that Google came up with the two founders came out with. And PageRank was nothing but a score. So it gave a PageRank, it gave like a score of to each of these sites. So suppose this was a PageRank 7 blog. So it gave a score. And how did it give this score? Well, it looked at other backlinks coming to this site. How popular is this blog itself? Who else is writing about this blog? You know, is there like a big CNN magazine writing about this blog? Yes. Okay. So then trust it more, increase its page rank. And once the page rank of this blog increases, the way it keeps gradually increases, then it becomes popular. And then when it writes, when it publishes a new page about any other site and links to that site, or it just writes an article, say it was just writing about drones, and then it linked out to the drone site, then the ability to pass that juice, that page rank to the site would be a lot more than these smaller ones out here. So when a blog becomes more and more popular, its ability to rank other sites and other pages on the internet increases multifold. That's because its page rank is increasing, because it's getting other link juice and other, trust factors coming in. So that's important. So now this, suppose this site started getting popular, right? All these people started writing about it and things like that. Then what happens is then this guy's page rank increases. It can increase from 3 to 4 to 5. I'm using PageRank as the example, but PageRank has been sort of deprecated by Google. They use it internally, but they don't like use it externally as a metric anymore. Um, but it's the same. The concept is the same. The ability to pass link juice. That's the concept I want you to pick up. And this is a ranking factor. The backlinks you get from other sites, when other people talk about you and link to you, that's a big metric right now. It's one of the top three metrics. Now, of course, there are hundreds of other factors. For example, just getting a backlink on a site is not good enough now, because RankBrain is measuring and wants to know how many people are clicking on that backlink, how much traffic is actually coming from this site where you have the backlink. That's what RankBrain wants to see now. That's become a ranking factor. Not as important as just the backlink, but it is becoming very important. So other things like page speed, how fast is your page loading? And I'll talk about that in the future videos, but I want you to, if you can sort of understand the concept right now, what happens in the real world, as I showed over here, and what's happening in the digital and the virtual world, it's almost similar. In this case, you have restaurants that are getting, in this example, I showed you a restaurant that was getting popular as it got more and more linked, newspapers in town writing articles about it, and more popular. The more popular the newspaper was, the more trust that restaurant would get, the more popularity the restaurant would get, and then people would visit that restaurant. So Google has done nothing but emulate what's happening in the real world by using backlinks as the measuring factor. And that's simply ingenious. It may seem simple right now because we're all so used to it. But way back then, when there were about 10, 15 other search engines all competing to be the number one search engine, uh, they were easier to game. You could just go in, look at the source code of the engine of your competitors, copy the source code, stuff the keywords, and just reverse engineer the engines really quickly, because they all used on-site factors. Nobody used the concept of backlinks. Nobody used the concept of off-site. It was just pure genius by the two boys, and that's what's made Google today. And mind you, just another trivia, that they tried to license their technology and sell their technology because they didn't have money initially. They went to Yahoo, they went to some of the other bigger players. I think it was InfoSeek, but I'm pretty sure they went to Yahoo, and they asked them for $1 million, and to sell their algorithm and license out their technology to Yahoo. And believe it or not, they were turned down. And that's like one of the, that just, people sometimes just, yeah. Of course, Yahoo has been the dinosaur. I mean, they've just like very bad management, and they lost. They had a big advantage initially because they were the most popular directory back then, and sort of search system before even Google came along. And when it was amongst the top ones, amongst, I think there were 10 trying to compete for space. But that said, all that said, backlinks is still one of the key ranking factors, and of course, backlinks is being used as a base to build other ranking factors on it, and things are evolving. So backlinks are the key factor. It's a top three factor to rank sites, and that's what we do when you optimize. When you do search engine optimization, your job when you're trying to build backlinks as the optimization factor amongst the other factors. When go out and you seek backlinks and you talk to blogs or you visit or user-generated UGC sites which are open, like Web 2.0 sites where you can just go register and write blog articles, or you do outreach to other bloggers in the area. You build a conversation with them, you get guest posts on their site, and then you link back to your site so that you can gain that backlink, and that helps you rank with the anchor word, the actual anchor text that you use in the backlink. So if you're trying to rank with buy drones, then you use that in the anchor text. However, don't over optimize things, and that's an advanced topic, and I will get to that in the course. For now, you need to understand that when you link with that anchor text as buy drones, that's the keyword Google passes, that's the keyword Google gives you the juice for. So when people search for buy drones, and if you're the site with the maximum buy drones backlinks coming to it from a variety of sites without the over optimization, of course. If you over optimize, then you get caught, right? And we'll talk about that footprint later on. But the key takeaway is that number one, all backlinks are not equal. So you could get a few backlinks from big sites, big powerful blogs, and your competition could be just getting small backlinks from smaller sites. Then the juice passed down to their site for those backlinks would not be as much as yours. And since you have more popular blogs linking to you, better backlinks, higher powered, more quality, you would rank above them. So I hope you understand that concept. And the backlinks that you get could be from like a guest post, it could be a blog comment you leave, you could go onto a forum, or someone could do a review on your site, or some newspaper could write about you, or there could be links from social media, there could be social shares. There's like tons of different kinds of backlinks and these signals that you can like sort of manufacture while doing the SEO, or you can sort of help the site get. Maybe your site goes viral, you release a video and it goes viral and everybody links to your site. That gives you a ton of natural backlinks. So as an SEO, and while doing search engine optimization, it's your job to get these backlinks, to build these backlinks, to make sure they're as white hat or as safe hat as possible. So with that said, I hope you understood the concept of backlinks and how it ties in with ranking of sites, and how Google actually ranks sites based on the backlinks you get. And I will see you in the next video then. Bye now.